Okay, really quick, I was having a little brain freeze when Mason asked me that question, but if you see please pay attention, turn around. If you see the arc here on the outside of the angle, then what you're really measuring is this angle, which is very obtuse. It's going to be bigger than 180 degrees, okay, versus this angle. Okay, and the best way to do that, which we will be talking about tomorrow or the next day when we're talking about, is measuring this angle and then subtracting 360, because you know all the way around is 360 degrees. So we'll get more to that soon. But first I want to talk about how to measure an angle using a protractor. I know you guys have watched a video on this, so you have some background knowledge, but there's a couple of important things that I want us to know. Okay, before, and there's something on here that I want to put even before step 1. Number 1, this is really the number 1. Decide if the angle, we'll just draw the symbol, is acute, right, obtuse, or straight. And we'll talk about why that's important, but that's our very first step, is looking at the angle and decide, is this angle acute, right, obtuse, or straight? And then now we're going to talk about our protractor. This is a tool that we use for measuring angles. And the first step, which is really the second step, or we could call it this step 1B. How you like that? Step 1B. Line up one of the rays along the 0 to 180 degree line at the bottom of the protractor. Make sure the vertex of the angle is at the midway point of the line. So go ahead on the worksheet that I just handed out for practice. It's called Angle Measurement Practice. Turn this sideways. All of your protractors, I believe, have a little circle hole right here. Okay? And now this is the important thing. Not only does it have the circle hole right here, but then there's this little line. Maybe your line goes all the way across, or maybe it looks like mine and is segmented. Okay? But it needs to be lined up on top of the bottom ray. It can't be here, or your measurement's going to be off. It can't be here. Are you looking up at the screen? It has to be right on top of the line. Not here, not here, not down here, not up here. The circle needs to be right over the vertex, and then that line needs to be right on top of the bottom line. Okay? Now, something else. Sometimes when you go to measure an angle, it's not big enough to come all the way up here. Okay? So you can also take your protractor, and you have to be careful, and go ahead and put your pen at the end, or your pencil. Line it up so that your protractor is perfectly straight along that bottom ray, and you can extend it out, and that just makes it a little easier to read your protractor. Okay? So that you're not guessing. Now see, that's not quite on the 0. Do you see what happened when I did that? So now I can tilt it up just a tad, and I can read my angle. See? Now, the reason it's important to determine before we measure is this acute, right, or obtuse. Look at this angle. Is it acute, right, or obtuse? It's acute. So that means when I measure this angle, my number should be what?
Less than 90.
Less than 90. So when I line up my protractor, and here's another thing. See how my numbers are going the right direction? If I line it up this way and my numbers are backwards, my protractor's upside down. And I know you guys are thinking, well, duh, but I'm just telling you the things I see every year as people try to use an upside down protractor. So your numbers should be the right way. Then it should be lined up. You can extend your ray. And we know it's acute. So there's two numbers here. There's 40 and there's 140. Which one makes sense? Sam, which one makes sense? 40 or 140? 40, because it's an acute angle. If it were an obtuse angle, then it would be 140. Use the little degree symbol. Go ahead and call it acute. And then just like when we did our measurement stations in science, you get a 1 degree leeway. I would accept 39, 40, or 41. Okay? Yes,
Mine measured on 39.
that would be fine.
Yeah.
39 is fine. Okay? So, step 2, so we actually just went through the whole thing, but step 1B was to line it up. Step 1 was to decide if it's acute, right, obtuse, or straight. And then step 2, look at where the other ray intersects the protractor. If the angle is smaller than 90 degrees, use the smaller number. If the angle is larger than 90 degrees, use the larger number. Okay? So we're going to do some practice with that. Go ahead, neatly glue this into your math journal on page 94. And before we do our practice, if you're using wet glue or bottle glue, just 4 dots is enough. Right, Nolan Burks?
Yeah, I'm using
Glue stick. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
And then I want to do the learning takeaway on the other page. I think we'll have time to get it done
At homework or today?
today. So, take another second to glue that down and then we'll... Ready? Okay, so first of all, the first point, how do we define an angle? An angle is made up of what? Two rays that what? Penelope.
Two rays that intersect.
Well, they share a common endpoint. And what do we call that common endpoint? Starts with a V. What do we call the common endpoint? Vertex. Okay, the second point. An angle is always named by 3 points. And we talked about this with our symbols. The vertex always has to be the middle point. Is that big enough for you to see? Okay, now these are, use a ruler to draw angles, always. And then your symbol is this. No matter what direction the angle is opening, your symbol is always this. It never goes the other way. Okay? Yes, Claire.
Should we finish filling this out?
Pardon me?
Should we finish these two?
I'm going to do this second one with you, and then I'm going to let you work with a partner to try to finish this page. Yes, sir.
So, so at the bottom this says, draw and label angle ABC. How do we know which angle they want us to draw?
It doesn't matter because it didn't specify. Okay? Okay. So, we can do that bottom. Just draw and label. Should you use a ruler or a straight edge? Should you put 3 points on it? Should you label the points with letters? Should the middle point be the vertex? Okay, let me see you draw that.